All right, let's talk about unlocking one of the most powerful tools any trader can have, TradingView's Pine Script. We're going to demystify this whole coding thing so you can finally stop hunting for other people's indicators and start building your very own custom tools, ones that are perfectly tailored to your strategy.
You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a chart and you think, man, if I just had an indicator that did this one specific thing. Maybe you want to change the bar colors based on some unique condition, or get a special alert that nobody else has. Well, that is exactly what Pine Script is for. It lets you take those ideas and bring them to life, right on your chart.
But here's the thing, and it's a big one. To really get good at this, you can't just learn the code. You have to understand the philosophy behind it. You got to get inside its head and understand how Pine Script actually thinks about your chart. And that's exactly what we're about to break down.
So this brings us to the single most important concept, the one that trips up almost everybody when they're starting out. It's called the execution model. Seriously, if you can wrap your head around this one idea, everything else about Pine Script is going to click into place. I promise.
Okay, so think about it like this. A normal computer program is kind of like a calculator, right? You type in your problem, you hit equals, it spits out an answer, and then it stops. It's done. Pine Script is completely different. It's more like a movie projector. It runs your code over and over and over again, once for every single bar on your chart.
Let's really break that down. So picture your chart's entire history. Your script starts way back at the very first oldest bar it can find. It runs your code from top to bottom, then it moves to the second bar. And here's the crucial part. By default, it forgets everything it just did and starts totally fresh on that new bar. It does this hundreds, maybe thousands of times, bar by bar by bar, all the way to the live ticking bar.
So you're probably thinking, wait a minute, if the script is constantly running and forgetting, how do we make it do anything useful? Well, that's where our basic building blocks come in, variables that can actually remember stuff and the logic to control them.
First things first, variables. Don't let the name scare you off if you're not a coder. A variable is just a container, like a little labeled box. You give the box a name and you put a value inside it. That value could be something simple like the closing price of a bar or the result of a fancy calculation you just made.
Now, because of that execution model we just talked about, a normal variable basically has amnesia. It gets totally reset on every single bar. But what if you need to count something or track whether you're in a trade or not? Well, for that, we have the var keyword. Think of var as giving your variable a memory. It gets its value on the very first bar and then holds on to it, carrying it forward from one bar to the next unless you specifically tell it to change. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The official documentation is crystal clear on this. It says that using var lets a variable preserve its last value on successive bars. That one little three-letter keyword is the absolute secret to making your scripts intelligent and stateful.
This brings us to another super common mix-up, the difference between the equal sign, equals, and the colon equals, colon equals. The easiest way to think about it is this. The plain equal sign, equals, is the creator. You use it one time to bring a variable into existence. The colon equals, is the updater. You use that to change the value of a variable that you've already created. So just remember, create with equals, update with colon equals. Simple as that.
Okay, so we've got our execution model, we've got our variables. Now let's talk about the data itself. Pine Script was built from the ground up to work with something called time series data.
And this is where Pine Script gets incredibly powerful but also surprisingly simple. Let's say you want to know the closing price of the previous bar. How do you do it? You just write close 1. That's it. Those square brackets are your time machine. 1 means 1 bar ago. 2 means 2 bars ago. You get the idea. It's such an elegant way to look into the past. So what even is a time series? Sounds a little academic, right? But it's really just a sequence of data points over time. For us traders, that's just the open, high, low, and close for every single bar on our chart. Pine Script is designed to handle these entire histories of values all at once, which is what makes looking back with close 1 so easy and stuff like moving averages so fast. Okay, enough theory. Let's actually build something. We're going to create a super simple indicator that colors the chart's background based on whether the price is above or below a moving average. It's time to see how all these building blocks we've been talking about actually come together. All right, let's go line by line. Every script you ever write is going to start with these 2 lines. The first one just tells TradingView what version of Pine Script we're using. The second one gives our indicator a name, and importantly, we've set overlay equals true.
which means draw this right on top of the main price chart.
Next up, we calculate our 20-period simple moving average. We use a built-in function for this, ta.sma. We tell it to use the closing price, and we tell it we want a length of 20. Then we just store that result in our MA variable. Easy.
Now for the logic. We're creating a new variable called bar color, and we're basically asking a question. Is the current close price greater than our moving average, MA? If the answer is yes, then the color becomes green. If the answer is no, it becomes red. It's a simple little if-then-else statement.
And the grand finale, we just called the BG color function, which stands for background color, and we handed our bar color variable. This tells the script, hey, on every single bar, I want you to color the background based on the logic we just figured out.
And that's literally it. There you have it. In just 4 simple, pretty readable lines of code, you've created a complete, working trading indicator. That's the real magic of PineScript-M, turning a complex idea into a simple, powerful tool.
Okay, let's zoom out and boil this all down. What are the absolute most important things you need to remember as you start your journey into building your own scripts?
First, and I can't say this enough, always remember that your script runs on every single bar. That's the core mental model. Second, variables have amnesia by default. If you need them to remember something, you have to use the var keyword. Third, know your operators. Equals is the creator, I equals is the updater. And finally, use those square brackets to look back in time. It's your secret weapon. Master these 4 points, and you are well on your way.
So, you now have the fundamental building blocks. You get how PineScript thinks, you know how it operates. The door is officially wide open. So the only question I have for you is, what are you going to build first? What's that one idea you're finally going to bring to life on your chart?